The stars above Earth shone cold and distant, like tiny shards of glass scattered across the endless black. In the midst of that darkness, 3 figures drifted silently in their small, sleek spacecraft. The intergalactic Concord had sent them, curious about a tiny blue planet teeming with life. For centuries, they had believed humans were primitive, unpredictable, and, in many ways, harmless. The mission seemed simple: observe, record, and report. Nothing more, nothing less. The first spy, Orcs, came from the crystalline planet of Lumia. His body shimmered like living glass, catching the light from the stars in sharp, dazzling flashes. Lumia's mind was precise and disciplined. Every movement, every thought, had order. He believed in patterns and rules, and humans, with their endless chaos, frustrated him before they had even been seen. The second Vector belonged to the Krylith, an insectoid species whose exoskeletons glittered like polished obsidian. Vector had 6 limbs, each ending in razor-sharp claws, and his compound eyes reflected everything in geometric precision. To him, humans were nothing more than weak mammals, fragile, short-lived, and predictable in their emotional outbursts. The third, Sula, was an Ilari shapeshifter, her form constantly shifting like liquid smoke. She moved silently, her voice melodic, yet mysterious. She had seen many worlds, and she knew that danger often hid in what others overlooked. Sula felt a quiet fascination with Earth, sensing something in humans she could not yet name. As the small Concord ship entered Earth's orbit, the spies prepared themselves. Their instruments scanned the planet, analyzing every detail. Swirling clouds, the oceans, the sprawling cities, and the tiny lights that dotted the dark patches of forests and deserts. From space, Earth seemed fragile, suspended in the void, a blue jewel surrounded by emptiness. Thyrax tapped his crystalline fingers against a control panel. "Nothing unusual," he stated, his voice precise and cold. "Life forms are present, yes, but primitive. There are no signals of advanced technology beyond what is expected." Vector's mandibles clicked. "Primitive. This mission will be boring. We will observe, report, and return. End of task." Su's voice, softer, but carrying weight, broke in. "Don't underestimate them. There is something different here, something that might not follow patterns or expectations." Thyrax frowned. "Patterns exist everywhere, Sula. Even here. You are letting your imagination interfere with reason." Sula did not respond. She only watched. From space, Earth seemed .com/peaceful. But something about the planet stirred a quiet, persistent curiosity within her. The spies descended silently, entering the thin atmosphere. The ship moved over vast forests, winding rivers, and the shining lights of sprawling human cities. Thyrax's sensors recorded everything: the density of life, the temperature variations, the electromagnetic signals from human technology. Everything followed its pattern, or so he thought. They landed in a quiet suburban park on the outskirts of a human city. The ground was soft and warm beneath them, and a gentle breeze stirred the leaves of trees that had existed for decades. Birds flew overhead, oblivious to the strange visitors hovering above them. Humans passed by, some jogging, some walking dogs, some simply enjoying the evening sun. Thyrax observed them with detached curiosity. "Primitive, fragile, disorganized," he muttered. "They are predictable in their weakness." Vector's voice hissed in agreement. "Their survival skills are minimal. Observation will be effortless." Sula, her shadow-like form flickering between shapes, did not speak. She felt something else: a quiet strength, a restless energy, a subtle brilliance that no instrument could measure. For hours, the spies watched. They observed humans navigating crowded streets, children laughing in playgrounds, parents solving small problems, like a broken bike chain or a spilled bag of groceries. Every movement seemed insignificant, yet strangely remarkable. Humans did not panic at accidents. They adapted, improvised, and moved forward with astonishing resilience. Thyrax recorded the data meticulously. Still within expected limits, he said, though the hesitation in his crystalline voice betrayed a slight doubt. Humans act according to instinct, and instinct is simple to calculate. But Sula noticed the unpredictable decisions. A child who fell helped a friend up instead of crying. A man who lost his wallet immediately began helping another lost tourist. These actions had no obvious logic, no algorithmic explanation. The humans did not follow strict patterns. They adapted, instinctively, as though they knew the rules of survival before anyone else did. Victor began to grow impatient. This planet is tedious. Observation shows nothing new. The humans are weak. Their intelligence is confined to basic problem solving, but Sula persisted in her silent study. As night fell, the city lights glimmered like stars reflected on the ground. She watched a group of teenagers helping an elderly woman cross the street, stopping traffic themselves without hesitation. There was courage in their simplicity. There was strength in their cooperation. There was a spark she could not quantify, but she could feel it. Thyrax remained skeptical. But even he could not ignore the small anomalies, the rapid improvisation of humans, their creativity in crises, their emotional intelligence. They were unpredictable, yes, but in a way that demanded attention. The spies retired to their temporary observation post, high in a human apartment building. They looked out over the city, its lights twinkling like a mirror of the stars above. For the first time, Thyrax admitted a small uncertainty in his mind. Though he would never say it aloud, Sula whispered, almost to herself, "They are not simple. They are alive in ways we cannot measure." And as the first hints of dawn touched the horizon, the three spies realized something profound. Earth was far from a weak, primitive world. It was a living, breathing challenge, full of chaos, unpredictability, and brilliance. And for the first time, they wondered if their mission's simple reconnaissance might become far more complicated than they ever imagined, because humans, in all their unpredictable, emotional, resilient glory, were waiting, and they were ready for anything. The sun rose slowly over the city, casting golden light on glass towers and busy streets. From their high observation post, the three spies watched silently. Humans moved like rivers of energy, flowing, splitting, and merging in patterns no instrument could fully predict. Thyrax adjusted his sensors, trying to measure their activity. But even his crystalline mind struggled to keep up. "This is still too simple," he muttered, though his voice lacked the certainty it had held the night before. "They are reactive, uncoordinated. They will follow patterns eventually." Victor clicked his mandibles, irritation clear. "Reactive is not intelligence. They will exhaust themselves. They will fail under pressure. Our observation will be complete without incident." Sula did not reply. She had sensed something. Last night, a subtle shift in the air, a quiet tension beneath the laughter and chatter. Humans were not only unpredictable, they were preparing for the unforeseen, even without knowing it. By mid-morning, small incidents began to unfold. A minor car accident occurred at a busy intersection. A truck skidded, narrowly missing a group of pedestrians. Humans reacted instantly. Traffic was redirected, the injured were helped, and no one panicked. Thyrax recorded the event clinically, noting efficiency, but Sula's attention was on the people themselves. "They adapt," she whispered. "They see danger and respond together. Instinct and thought are combined." Victor's compound eyes narrowed. "This is not significant. Any animal species can respond to threats." Sula shook her shadow-like form slightly, flickering. "No. They coordinate, they improvise, and they learn quickly." The spies moved to a lower floor to blend with the city's morning crowd. Humans filled the streets, going to work, running errands, and talking loudly in cafes. Thyrax kept his form crystalline and rigid, scanning patterns of movement. Victor hovered at his side, a dark shadow among them. Sula flowed smoothly, shifting her shape to remain unnoticed. For hours, they observed ordinary events, a shopkeeper helping an elderly man with his groceries, a child retrieving a lost toy for another, and a team of workers fixing a broken water main with no central supervision. Each act seemed small, but together, they formed a web of resilience and intelligence that no algorithm could predict. As afternoon approached, a sudden alarm sounded in the city, a small fire in an apartment building. Humans responded immediately. Firefighters arrived, neighbors helped to evacuate people, and passers-by coordinated to block traffic and guide emergency vehicles. Thyrax recorded data furiously, noting human efficiency, but Victor was growing impatient. They are slow, limited, and vulnerable, he insisted. Even this coordinated effort is primitive compared to military operations on Krylith. There is no strategy, only instinct. Sula remained silent, her form flickering like smoke. She saw something the others did not: humans' ability to innovate in real time. When one exit was blocked by fire, they immediately created an alternative using furniture, ropes, and teamwork. They thought beyond instinct. They adapted with creativity. By evening, the spies had gathered enough data to report back to the Concord. They returned to their observation post, hidden in the rooftop of a seemingly abandoned building. They were about to send their transmission when something unexpected happened. A group of teenagers appeared nearby, laughing and carrying back. The city streets were quiet that night, but the air was alive with electricity. The three spies, Thyrax, Victor, and Sula, hovered in their observation ship above the city, invisible to human eyes. They had expected a peaceful night, an easy continuation of their mission. Instead, they felt something different, subtle tension, like the world itself was awake and alert. Sensors show minimal risk, Thyrax said, his crystalline form flickering in the faint glow of the city lights. Humans are still contained within predictable patterns. Victor clicked his mandibles, unease clear in his tone. Predictable. They still show curiosity beyond expectation. I do not trust it. Sula, flowing like shadow between the two, did not respond immediately. Her senses reached far beyond technology. She could feel the human energy pulsing in the streets below, the rapid heartbeat of problem-solving, cooperation, and instinct. It was chaotic, yes, but beautiful in a way that no machine could measure. They observed a small group of teenagers, moving carefully through the alleys, carrying homemade drones and small electronic devices. They laughed quietly, sharing instructions, improvising on the spot, and checking each other's work. Thyrax scanned their movements, trying to calculate the probability of error. The numbers fluctuated wildly, refusing to stabilize. They are inefficient, he said, his voice precise but uncertain. Errors should be higher. Patterns should emerge. Sula's form rippled as she whispered, they are learning, faster than we expect. They are noticing everything. Suddenly, a human dog ran into the alley, startling one of the teens. Instead of panicking, the teenagers adapted instantly. They adjusted their drones mid-air, using the dog's movement to their advantage, capturing footage and data in ways the spies could not predict. Thyrax's sensors blinked furiously. Impossible, Victor hissed. This should be simple, but they improvise. Sula's eyes, if she had any visible, seemed to glow in the dim light. Humans improvise instinctively. That is their strength. Not strength of muscle, but of mind and heart. The teenagers approached a seemingly abandoned building. They examined the rooftop carefully, connecting wires to launch a drone. Thyrax, unable to resist, leaned forward slightly. This is insignificant, he said. They cannot detect us. They cannot affect us. But Sula shook her shadow-like form. They can... And she was right. The drone hovered above the building, its sensors picking up subtle movements in the shadows, movements the spies had assumed were invisible. A simple human device, crafted from scrap materials, had detected them. Victor's compound eyes widened in shock. They see us. Before Virex could react, the teenagers adjusted the drone's position, triangulating the ship's location with frightening precision. One of them spoke into a handheld communicator, and soon more teenagers joined, each carrying improvised devices and tools. They moved with coordination, improvising tactics no formal army had taught them. Virex whispered sharply, "Extraction protocols. Now, we must leave before detection escalates." Factor snarled, "We cannot leave. They will track us. Impossible to escape once discovered." Sula's form rippled as she considered the situation. They are children, yet they think like strategists. They adapt, and they do not follow the rules we understand. The spies made their first attempt to leave. The ship lifted silently from the rooftop, moving with precision. But the humans were ready. They had deployed wires and small reflective surfaces to confuse the sensors, guiding the ship toward a narrow alley where drones awaited. Thyrex's crystalline body collided lightly with one drone, sending sparks into the air. The humans cheered, unaware of the exact danger, but thrilled by their success. Victor's 6 limbs struck the ship's controls in panic. This should not be happening. They are too primitive to succeed. Sula held steady. Primitive is not weakness. Look closely. They think in ways we cannot. They improvise, they anticipate, and they collaborate instinctively. Another wave of drones swooped down, causing the spy's ship to make abrupt evasive maneuvers. Thyrex's systems overloaded with calculations. Every prediction failed. Humans were unpredictable, fast, and resourceful. They used noise, light, and reflection to manipulate the sensors. They moved without fear, without hesitation, and without central command. Finally, the ship was forced to hover over a small park. The humans had created a trap using simple nets, ropes, and poles. Thyrex tried to calculate a solution, but every escape option was blocked. Panic and emotion they had studied, but never felt, began to bubble in Victor's chest. Sula whispered, again more to herself than anyone else, "This is not chaos. This is human ingenuity. They create solutions as they encounter problems. Every failure is a lesson. Every obstacle becomes opportunity." Thyrex clenched his crystalline hands. "We underestimated them. I did not see this coming." The humans approached carefully, their eyes bright with curiosity and excitement. They were small, unarmed, yet they commanded the situation. Every movement had purpose, every glance counted. The spies realized that raw strength or advanced technology meant nothing against creatures who could anticipate, adapt, and improvise instinctively. Night deepened, and the city around them seemed to hum with energy. Thyrexx, Victor, and Sula hovered silently in the ship, trapped, astonished, and unnerved. For the first time in their lives, they felt the possibility of defeat, not through brute force, but through something far subtler and far more powerful: human creativity, courage, and resilience. Sula looked down at the humans below and murmured, "They are not predictable, they are not weak, and they are already shaping the events around them, even without knowing it." Victor's mandibles clicked nervously. "We should report this immediately." "But how?" "They may follow the signal. They may." Thyrex did not finish the sentence. He knew the answer. Humans, in all their chaotic brilliance, were already aware of him in ways he could not quantify. For the first time, he understood something fundamental. Earth was not a planet to be observed. It was a force to be respected. And somewhere in the heart of the city, humans continued their work, unaware of the spies above them, yet somehow already controlling the situation. The spies had arrived to study humans, but in truth, humans were already studying them, and the game had begun. The city had gone dark in patches as night deepened, leaving only the streetlights and neon signs to illuminate the quiet alleys. Thyrex, Victor, and Sula hovered in their small, sleek spacecraft above the city, invisible to human eyes or so they believed. After the first encounter with the teenagers, the three spies felt tension simmering in the air. They had thought observation would be simple. They had thought humans would remain predictable. They were wrong. Thyrax tapped his crystalline fingers against the control panel, scanning the city below. "We must retreat," he said. "Our presence has been compromised. We cannot continue the mission without risk of exposure." Victor clicked his mandibles sharply. "Compromised? They are children. How can they pose any real threat?" Sula's form shifted, dark and rippling like smoke. "They are not children in the sense you mean. They think, they adapt, they learn quickly. They are dangerous, precisely because you cannot predict them. Do you not see it? The patterns we rely on are useless here." Thyrax hesitated. He did see it now. The humans below were everywhere, moving instinctively. Their improvisation had trapped the ship once, and he could sense more traps forming. Invisible to sensors, but evident in the careful way humans moved through their environment. Suddenly, a small flash of light from a drone streaked across the street below. Victor's compound eyes widened in alarm. "They are watching again. How? How is this possible?" Sula leaned closer to the observation panel. "It is their world. They know every alley, every corner, every shadow. They use their environment instinctively. We are outsiders. That is our weakness." The spies realized they had underestimated humanity. The city was not just alive with human activity, was alive with human intelligence, and that intelligence had no limits. It could bend, twist, and adapt in ways that even the most advanced alien technology could not anticipate. Thyrax tried to plot a course away from the area, but the readings were confusing. Every path seemed blocked by human movement, drones, or improvised barriers. "This is impossible," he muttered. "No algorithm can calculate their interference. They are chaotic." Victor's 6 limbs struck the controls, trying to force an exit, but each attempt only triggered more interference. The humans were clever, but not with brute strength or advanced weapons. They used strategy, improvisation, and coordination. Thyrax's sensors recorded every detail, but the data was inconclusive. The humans' actions were unpredictable, adaptive, and constantly changing. Sula floated silently for a moment, sensing the pulse of the city below. Then she whispered, almost to herself, "They are creating patterns even as they break patterns. They are learning from us faster than we can learn from them." A sudden movement caught their attention. On the rooftops, more humans appeared, carrying simple tools and devices. They moved quickly, assembling nets, mirrors, and ropes. Thyrax realized with growing horror that these humans had discovered a way to manipulate their sensors, creating interference fields that could confuse even the most advanced technology. "They are preparing to trap us," Thyrax said, his crystalline voice trembling slightly. Victor's mandibles clicked nervously. The night deepened, and the city became a labyrinth of shadows and glowing lights. Thyrax, Victor, and Sula hovered over the urban maze, their sensors overloaded with anomalies. Every movement they made was anticipated by humans below in ways they could not predict. The spies had come to Earth to observe, but now they were being observed, controlled by a force they had never imagined. Human ingenuity. Thyrax's crystalline fingers tapped nervously on the control panel. "We cannot leave. Every exit is blocked. Every maneuver fails. Our mission is compromised." Victor's 6 limbs struck the controls in frustration. Compromised by humans. They are primitive. They should be weak, yet they move like we are trapped in their world. Sula floated silently, her form rippling in the dim glow of the city. She did not speak immediately. Instead, she watched the humans below, who moved quietly but decisively, assembling small devices and creating barriers with ropes, nets, and even reflective surfaces. The humans did not fight with weapons. They fought with intelligence, instinct, and adaptability. They are improvising, Sula finally whispered. Every action they take is part of a plan they do not even fully know. They see possibilities we cannot even calculate. The spies attempted another escape. Thyrax calculated a precise route through narrow alleys and over rooftops. Victor prepared to fire a disorienting pulse to clear the path. But the humans below were ready. Drones buzzed through the air. Small reflective panels flashed light into sensors, and ropes dangled from rooftops, forming a complicated web. Every attempt to evade was met with an unexpected obstacle. Thyrax froze. They are controlling the environment itself, without even touching us, Victor hissed, his voice trembling. This is impossible. They should fail. They are not trained. They are children and teenagers. Sula observed closely, her shadowy form pulsing with energy. It is not training. It is instinct. They adapt instantly. They collaborate without command. Every small act becomes part of a greater strategy. They learn, calculate, and adjust, all at once. The humans moved like a single organism, instinctively coordinating to guide the spy's ship into a trap. Simple objects, poles, nets, ropes, even abandoned crates were combined into an ingenious system to block movement. The ship was forced to hover over a small courtyard, surrounded on all sides. Thyrax's sensors tried to find an escape route, but every option was nullified. This is brilliance, Thyrax admitted reluctantly. Not brute force, not technology, but intelligence, creativity, adaptation. Victor's mandibles clicked nervously. It is terrifying. They are stronger than we imagined. We cannot predict them. We cannot outmaneuver them. Sula floated silently, watching the humans work together in perfect harmony. They are alive in a way we cannot measure, she whispered. They think with their hearts as well as their minds. They turn chaos into order, danger into opportunity, and weakness into strength. Suddenly, one of the teenagers leaped from a rooftop with a small, glowing device in hand. The device emitted a low hum that interfered with the spy's sensors. Thyrax's crystalline body shimmered nervously as the readings collapsed. The ship tilted, struggling to maintain balance. They are attacking, Victor growled. Sula shook her form. No, not attacking, guiding. Every device, every movement, every choice, they are shaping the environment to their advantage. They do not fight us, they make us fight ourselves. The spies realized the humans had learned from every previous encounter. Every pattern they tried to impose was countered with ingenuity. Every plan was disrupted, every escape route blocked. And the humans did this without fear, without hesitation, and without needing a formal command. They were instinctive strategists, and the city itself became their weapon. Thyrax felt something unfamiliar stir in his crystalline form, admiration and fear. They are extraordinary, not strong, not fast, but unstoppable in a way we cannot calculate. Victor was silent, his 6 limbs trembling slightly. Even he had to admit it. They are different, too different. We cannot predict them, and we cannot overpower them. We are trapped by children. Su's voice was steady, almost reverent. They are not children in the way you think. They are humans, curious, inventive, and unafraid to bend rules. They are unstoppable because they adapt. They are alive in ways we cannot measure. The humans continued their work. Drones guided ropes into precise positions. Reflective panels created interference. Patterns in the spy's sensors and simple mechanical devices blocked movement. Every human acted independently, yet their actions combined into a seamless strategy. Thyrax's calculations failed at every turn. Victor's weapons were useless. Even Sula, who could shift form and adapt in seconds, felt the limits of her power. Hours passed, and the spy's ship remained trapped. The humans below never stopped. They repaired, adjusted, improvised, and collaborated continuously. Every action was a lesson in resilience and creativity. Thyrax realized a profound truth: brute strength, technology, and strategy meant nothing against creatures who could adapt faster than machines, think faster than calculations, and act with instinctive intelligence. They are human, Thyrax whispered, almost to himself, and that is why we cannot escape. Sula's form pulsed as she observed the humans below, a quiet smile in her mind. We thought we came to observe them, she said softly, but they are teaching us what it means to survive, to adapt, and to be alive. Vector's mandibles clicked, not in anger, but in reluctant respect. We have underestimated them. Every calculation, every expectation, every planet fails against humans. The city slept around them, glowing faintly under the night sky. Yet in its quiet, ordinary streets, humans moved like shadows, alive with intelligence, creativity, and courage. They were unaware of the spies above them. Yet they controlled the situation entirely. Thyrax, Vector, and Sula hovered silently in the courtyard. Trapped, humbled, and awed. They had come to Earth as observers, expecting weakness. Instead, they found brilliance. They had come to learn about humans. Instead, humans had taught them a lesson they could never have imagined. And the night stretched on, with humans quietly, instinctively, and brilliantly turning the tables on the spies who had thought themselves invincible. Earth had begun to fight back, and the spies were learning. Too late, that humans were unstoppable in their own way. The city had fallen silent under the cover of night, but the air buzzed with quiet energy. Every alley, rooftop, and park became a stage for human ingenuity. Thyrax, Vector, and Sula hovered in their sleek spacecraft, trapped in a courtyard surrounded by an invisible but unyielding web. Every path they attempted to escape was blocked by ropes, nets, reflective panels, and drones moving like silent guides. Thyrax's crystalline form trembled with frustration. Every route is closed. Every calculation fails. This is unacceptable. Humans should not be capable of this level of strategy. Vector's mandibles clicked nervously. They are children, teenagers. Yet they command the environment, as if it were part of them. This defies all reason. Sula floated above the trapped courtyard, her shadow-like form rippling with thought. It is not defiance. It is instinct and creativity. They do not need power or advanced technology. They bend the world itself to their advantage. Below, the humans moved with quiet purpose. One teenager adjusted a reflective panel to confuse the ship's sensors. Another guided a rope to block an escape route. A third monitored a drone, directing it with small gestures that seemed effortless, but were precise and deliberate. Every small action, every improvisation, worked together to create a perfect trap. Theo scanned the humans again, trying to find a flaw. He could detect patterns, yes, but they shifted constantly, evolving faster than his mind could calculate. Every time he predicted their next move, it was already different. They are learning, Thyrax admitted quietly. Faster than we can anticipate. Faster than we can adapt. Vector's 6 limbs struck the controls in desperation. They should fail. They are not a trained army. They are unpredictable, yes, but weak. Yet we cannot escape. Sula's form rippled, dark and pulsing. Strength is not measured in brute force. Intelligence is not measured in technology alone. They survive because they think, feel, and adapt in ways we cannot. They improvise. They cooperate instinctively. That is their power. The humans continued their work. Small ropes were tied between poles. Nets were stretched across alleys, and reflective surfaces created illusions to mislead the spies' sensors. Drones hovered in precise patterns, guiding the humans' movements while confusing the ship. Vector and Sula realized they were no longer observers, they were being controlled. led into the trap by the ingenuity of creatures they had underestimated. Suddenly, a teenager leaped onto a nearby rooftop, carrying a small device that emitted a low, humming signal. The spy's instruments fluctuated violently. The ship rocked slightly, struggling to maintain stability. Thyrix's crystalline form shimmered nervously. "They are manipulating our systems," Thyrix said, voice trembling slightly. "Without weapons, without violence, just intelligence." Victor hissed, panic rising. "We cannot win against this. They are unstoppable." Sula watched the teenagers below, her form flickering like liquid shadow. Unstoppable. In their own way, they are humans. Curious, inventive, courageous. They do not follow rules, they create new ones as they need. The city had grown still under the late-night sky. Yet a quiet tension hummed through every street, alley, and rooftop. Thyrix, Victor, and Sula hovered in their ship, trapped and exhausted. Every attempt to escape had failed. Every maneuver had been anticipated. Every calculation had been undone by the humans below. The spies had come to Earth to observe, but now they were the ones under observation controlled by creatures they had assumed were weak and insignificant. Thyrix tapped nervously on the controls. "We must find a solution. There must be a flaw, a weakness, anything we can exploit." Victor's mandibles clicked sharply. "We have looked, we have calculated, and every path, every prediction, fails. They are too fast, too adaptable, too intelligent. We cannot escape." Sula floated silently, her shadow-like form pulsing in the dim light. "You still look for flaws in what cannot fail by your definition. Humans are not flawed. They do not rely solely on pattern or protocol. They survive because they improvise, because they adapt, because they collaborate instinctively." Below, the humans moved like a living network. Teenagers guided drones with small, precise gestures, adjusting reflective surfaces to confuse sensors. Simple ropes and nets blocked the ship's flight paths. Every movement, every adjustment was small, almost casual, yet perfectly effective. The spies realized the humans were not trying to fight. They were simply making the environment uninhabitable for the invaders. Thyrix whispered, almost to himself, "They are teaching us." Without knowing it, every act, every improvisation, is a lesson. Victor hissed in frustration. "A lesson. From humans. They are children. This is madness." Sula remained calm. "It is not madness. It is instinct, creativity, and courage. They survive by thinking beyond what is visible, by turning obstacles into tools, by making every situation work in their favor." The spies attempted another maneuver. Thyrix tried to lift the ship higher, over the rooftops. Victor activated a pulse, meant to disrupt interference, but the humans had already prepared. Drones moved into position, small nets swayed in the wind, and reflective surfaces created false readings that sent the ship off course. Thyrix's crystalline sensors blinked with confusion. "They anticipate every move," Thyrix admitted quietly, "not because they can predict, but because they adapt." Instantly, Victor's 6 limbs struck the controls again, faster, harder, but the humans' improvisation matched every attempt. Thyrix realized something he had not considered before. The humans' strength was not just their intelligence or creativity, was their emotional connection. They acted instinctively, yes, but also out of care for each other. Every rope tied, every drone guided, every reflective panel adjusted. They did it together, with trust, with awareness, with shared purpose. Sula's voice was calm, almost reverent. "They are alive in a way we cannot measure. They see opportunities. They act, they learn, and they do so without fear. Fear is what limits us. They are fearless, not because they are unaware of danger, but because they embrace it as part of life." The spies realized the humans' improvisation had a rhythm. It was chaotic to observe, yet precise in execution. Every individual act contributed to a larger plan, even though no single human knew the entirety of it. Thyrex tried to calculate it, but his algorithms collapsed under the fluid unpredictability. "We are trapped," Thyrex admitted finally, his voice trembling slightly. "Not by strength, not by weapons, but by life itself, by creativity, intelligence, and humanity." Victor's mandibles clicked nervously. "They are extraordinary. We cannot win against this. Every strategy fails. Every plan collapses. And we are forced to wait, react, adapt to them." Sula floated silently, observing the humans below. Teenagers adjusted ropes, guided drones, and shifted mirrors, but always with laughter, with teamwork, with quiet joy. Thyrex realized that their calmness, their confidence, their unity, made them unstoppable. They were not just fighting, were living, and in living so fully, they turned every obstacle into an advantage. Hours passed. The spies' energy reserves were low, their patience stretched thin. Every attempt to regain control failed, yet the humans continued their quiet work, improvising endlessly. Thyrex, Victor, and Sula were forced to confront a truth they had ignored. Strength, technology, and strategy could only go so far against creatures whose strength lay in adaptability, courage, and unity. Sula's shadow-like form flickered as she spoke, almost to herself. "They are teaching us what it means to survive, to adapt, to think beyond rules, to be alive in every moment. They do not follow protocol, they create solutions in real time. And that is why we cannot win." Victor's mandibles clicked, softly this time, not in anger, but in reluctant admiration. "We underestimated them. Every prediction, every calculation, wrong. They are not just alive, they are unstoppable in ways we cannot define." Thyrax's crystalline hands shook slightly as he observed the humans below. "We came to study them, to observe their weaknesses. Instead, they are showing us what it means to be strong in ways we cannot measure. They survive, not through force, but through heart, mind, and spirit." The humans moved like rivers of energy through the streets, quiet but purposeful. No single human commanded the others, yet every action, every improvisation, every small decision worked perfectly. To trap the spies' ship, Thyrex realized the most extraordinary truth of all. Humans were not predictable. Not because they were random, but because they were alive in a way no alien intelligence could calculate. The spies hovered in the courtyard, exhausted, trapped, and humbled. They had arrived to observe humans. Instead, humans had turned the city into a trap, guiding, adapting, improvising, and surviving in a way that made every alien calculation useless. Sula floated silently, observing her shadowy form rippling in the night. "They are alive," she whispered, "and that is why we cannot escape. They are humans, and humans are unstoppable." The night stretched on, quiet but alive. The spies had failed in their mission, not through lack of skill or technology, but because humans had turned the tables in the most unexpected way, by being themselves curious, inventive, and resilient beyond measure. And in the silent city below, the humans continued their work, unaware of the lesson they were teaching, but perfect in every movement, every decision, every improvisation. Earth had tightened its grip, and the spies realized, fully, that humans were not just creatures to study, they were forces to respect, admire, and fear. The night was alive. The city was alive. Humanity was alive. The first light of dawn began to touch the edges of the city, soft and golden, but the streets were still alive with quiet energy. Thyrex, Victor, and Sula hovered above the city, exhausted and trapped. Every attempt to escape had failed. Every calculation had collapsed. Every prediction had been undone by the humans below, whose improvisation, creativity, and courage seemed limitless. Thyrax's crystalline hands trembled on the controls. We have tried every route, every maneuver, every strategy. They are extraordinary. Victor's 6 limbs struck the console, frustration building. Children, teenagers. Yet they control the environment as if it were part of them. This should be impossible. Sula floated silently, observing the humans below. Her shadow-like form pulsed softly. It is not impossible. They survive because they think differently, act instinctively, and adapt endlessly. They are alive in ways we cannot measure, and that is why we cannot win. Below, the humans moved with quiet purpose. Teenagers guided drones through the air, shifting reflective panels to confuse sensors. Simple ropes and nets blocked every potential escape route. Each action seemed small, insignificant, yet perfectly executed, combined into a strategy the aliens could not predict. Every single human acted independently, yet their coordination made them unstoppable. Thorax's sensors blinked wildly. They do not fight with weapons. They do not rely on brute force. Yet they control everything. Every movement we make, every decision, is anticipated. Victor's mandibles clicked nervously. It is terrifying. How can such small, seemingly simple creatures be so powerful? Sula's form rippled like water. Not power as you define it, not strength of body or technology. Their power is in adaptation, in courage, in collaboration. They survive because they innovate, because they trust each other, and because they do not fear failure. They use every obstacle as a tool. That is why we cannot escape. Thyrax realized something extraordinary. The humans' uniqueness was exactly what made them dangerous. They could improvise faster than any calculation. They could coordinate without orders. They could take chaos and turn it into opportunity. No alien strategy, no technological superiority, no brute strength could match instinctive human intelligence combined with heart. A sudden movement below caught their attention. One of the teenagers had climbed to a rooftop with a small device. It emitted a low hum, disrupting the ship's sensors and forcing it to tilt. Thyrax's crystalline body flickered under the strain. They are not attacking, Sula said softly. They are guiding us. They are shaping the battlefield, not through force, but through intelligence. Every rope, every panel, every drone is part of their plan, and the plan is survival. The spies attempted one final maneuver. Thyrax tried to lift the ship higher, hoping to escape. Victor activated a pulse to disrupt interference, but humans had already prepared. Drones shifted in patterns, nets blocked,